Welcome to Admission Straight Talk, the podcast dedicated to graduate admissions and helping you approach the application process thoughtfully and successfully. Your host is Accepted's founder and world-renowned admissions guru, Linda Abraham. At Accepted, our mission is to get you to that unforgettable moment when you read your acceptance email and shout, "Yes, I'm in!" Confident you'll be attending the perfect program to help you launch the career of your dreams.
Welcome to the 600th episode of Admission Straight Talk. Thanks for tuning in. Do you know how to get accepted to medical school? Accepted's free guide, Med School Admissions, What You Need to Know to Get Accepted, can tell you exactly what you need to do. Download your free copy at accepted.com/600download. Today's guest, Dr. Michelle Schmude, has spent her career in higher education administration and med school admissions. After earning her BA in History and Business, she went on to earn an MBA and then a doctorate in education from Wilkes University. Since 1996, she has worked in admissions, first as Dean of Full-Time Admissions at Point Park University, then at King's College, and since 2015 at Geisinger Commonwealth School of Medicine, where she is now Vice Provost for Enrollment Management and Professor of Medical Education. Dr. Schmude, welcome back to Admission Straight Talk.
Thank you so much, Linda. I'm really excited to be back again to chat with you about Geisinger College of Health Sciences and our School of Medicine.
Okay, great. You were telling me before we got online that there's a lot going on. But let's start with something basic. Can you give an overview of the Geisinger Med School program focusing on its more distinctive elements?
Absolutely. And that's a great question. And I'm really excited to talk about our total health curriculum, which debuted a few years ago. And I would say that there are definitely a few key elements that I think make us unique in terms of our medical education. And the first area I'd like to talk about is the science of learning. And so the total health curriculum uses an evidence-based active learning approach to medical education that has been demonstrated to improve learning, and that's so important for the success of our students. Second of all, we utilize a clinical presentation model, which relies on decades of educational evidence and ensures basic science and other content receive necessary emphasis in the clinical context. We also expose our students to early clinical experiences. And so they're placed in the primary care setting in their second semester as part of the longitudinal clinical experience. And then our students are placed into their core clerkship rotations in January of their second year when they transition to phase 2 of the curriculum. And we'll talk more about our phases in a little bit.
Okay.
It's really our team-based approach to teaching and learning. And so clinicians and scientists work in interdisciplinary teams to create and implement our curriculum, which enhances the learning environment, provides clinical perspective, and connects our students early with Geisinger clinical faculty who are their role models and advisors for residency and specialty selection. Really, really important. Another area is our systems-based learning, which immerses our students into a highly effective health system for clinical learning experiences steeped in health system science, all to prepare our students to function in the 21st century practice environment. Additionally, I love to talk about this one too, is research and scholarship, because our students engage in a lot of research activities that ultimately result in a lot of scholarship opportunities for them to speak at national presentations, to be published. And so there really are a lot of opportunities for our students to engage in clinical research, in bench research, and also medical education. They do this through our summer research immersion program and through our medical research honors program. You can also find some of their research in our journal called the Scholarly Research in Progress, better known as SCRIP. We also have a Career Pathways program, which is a 4-year required longitudinal curriculum that embodies our mission, vision, and values and lives within our personal and professional development theme, which we'll talk a little bit about later when we discuss our themes. And then last but not least, which is vital to our mission, is service learning. And so service has always been an integral part to the education here at Geisinger College of Health Sciences and our School of Medicine. And the total health curriculum builds on this tradition by creating a more interconnected structure for immersion that collaboratively advances the work of our local service agencies.
Okay, wow, that was a great answer. Very thorough. Thank you. All right. We'll get to the total health curriculum in a minute, as you said, but can you discuss what's new at Geisinger? I mean, we have had the pleasure of having you on AST before. So what's been happening in the last couple of years?
Sure. So I'd like to point out 3 things. So first would be our establishment of and our evolution from Geisinger Commonwealth School of Medicine to Geisinger College of Health Sciences. And that was established in the fall of 2022. And within the Geisinger College of Health Sciences, we have 3 schools: our School of Medicine, our School of Graduate Education, and our School of Nursing. So that's update number 1. Update number 2 would be we have a new Chief Executive Officer of Geisinger, and his name is Dr. Terry Gilliland, who began a few months ago, and we're very, very excited about his appointment to this important position. And then last but not least, we are the first member of Rising Health, which is a nonprofit charitable organization created by Kaiser Foundation Hospitals with a transformative vision to improve the health of millions of people. By increasing access to value-based care and coverage, Rising Health will raise the bar for care that is based on better health outcomes. And again, Geisinger is the first member of Rising Health, and we are very excited about that opportunity.
Okay. Well, that's a lot going on the last 2 years, that's for sure.
We've been a little busy.
You've been busy, exactly. Okay.
Busy, right?
Yeah, for sure. Can you review we touched on a couple of times, mentioned the total health curriculum, and it has 3 phases. Can you review that, please?
Sure. So the total health curriculum is built on the science of learning and utilizes an evidence-based approach to train skilled, compassionate, and confident physicians who provide individualized care and promote health in the communities they serve. Besides offering a fully integrated and immersive educational experience in basic, clinical, and health system science, the curriculum emphasizes 6 longitudinal themes that compose the systems, society, and humanism in medicine core. So we liken our total health curriculum to a tree, similar to the tree of knowledge that forms our current seal. And we have 3 phases. So the first phase is the principle of medical science and practice. And this is our foundational piece of our curriculum that is rooted in basic clinical and health system sciences. Phase 2 is our core clinical immersion phase. This is the trunk of the tree and is a solid body of clinical experiences that begins early and grows in complexity and meaning, providing firm support to the branches. And then phase 3 is our career differentiation and exploration. And during this phase, and it is the final phase, students progress in the development of advanced clinical skills and training that suits their individual interests and ultimately career goals.
Well, I can kind of envision the tree. I mean, I saw it online. I didn't print it out, but now it makes perfect sense.
I love the trait, and I
Yeah,
love
it's
what it
great.
represents and how it relates to our 3 phases within our curriculum.
It's a lovely concept. You were saying tree of knowledge. I was actually thinking tree of life, but it can go either way.
Interchangeable,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. I think in terms of the curriculum, knowledge fits better, but that's kind of what I was thinking of. But you also mentioned the 6 themes in the curriculum. Can you go over what they are again, and then how are they manifest in the Geisinger experience?
Sure. So the 6 themes compose systems, society, and humanism in medicine. And I'll list those for you. So we have community immersion, which I talked about before, which is fundamental to the mission of our institution. Health system citizenship, which I think we can all agree that we want better health care for all citizens. Our personal and professional development theme, which I'm a faculty member in, and we really look to this theme to grow our students in terms of their emotional intelligence, being compassionate in caring future physicians, and ethical in their decision making. I mean, that's embodied throughout our total curriculum. But our personal and professional development theme definitely does advance emotional intelligence, leadership, so on and so forth. Population health, which we know that social determinants of health play a part of one seeking health care. And so really important for our students to understand population health. Primary care. We know that we need to see our primary care physicians in order to really have good health. And if we need to seek any type of specialty care. So primary care is extremely important to our institution. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in terms of our Abigail Geisinger Scholars Program and how primary care specialties in psychiatry interact in that respective program. And then last but not least, social justice and health equity, providing equitable health care for all.
Okay. Well, how can you give an example perhaps of how one or more of these themes are manifest in the curriculum? How is social justice manifest in the curriculum?
Sure. So it's a longitudinal theme, and we have various topics that work together, and those topics are embedded in our clinical as well as our basic science and health systems science classes. So it's a longitudinal theme that if we're doing a case presentation, it might then overlap in terms of the theme of social justice and health equity.
Sure.
It could possibly be personal and professional development. And so it all depends on what the session topic is and how the theme is woven throughout.
So they can also interlace, they can interact in multiple ways. It's not like you have your social justice class, you have your personal,
that absolutely is the case. And
they integrate.
I'll use the word case again because we do a case for our students, and all of the themes are present within the case, along with basic clinical as well as health system science. And so it's really an integrated approach to teaching and learning.
Got it. And you mentioned the Abigail Geisinger Scholars Program, and it is very, I think, important to highlight that. So even though we've discussed it in the past, I want to discuss it again. How can applicants, medical students, attend Geisinger Medical School and graduate debt-free?
So thanks so much for this question. This program is near and dear to my heart.
Okay.
The cost of medical school continues to rise, and students are drowning in debt. And so a few reasons why we established the Abigail Geisinger Scholars Program. First and foremost is to address medical student debt and provide opportunity for them to graduate from medical school with us covering their tuition and fees and providing them with a $2,000 a month monthly stipend. So first and foremost, reduce medical student debt. The second piece is to repopulate our physician shortage in northeastern and north central Pennsylvania. So particularly the counties we serve, so a student can pursue a specialty in one of 5 areas, and they are family medicine, internal medicine, pediatrics, psychiatry, and medicine pediatrics. And again, those specialties directly relate to our primary care theme.
Right. And you were mentioning just a minute ago how important primary care is to really all populations. So
Absolutely. And so with this program, if we provide 4 years of funding to a student for their 4 years of medical school, so if we cover their tuition and fees and provide them with a $2,000 a month stipend throughout their 4 years, they will then attend residency in one of the specialties I mentioned. And then immediately post-residency, they will come back to Geisinger as a physician and begin to practice in their respective specialty for 4 years. So if we provide them with 4 years of funding, they will give us 4 years of service immediately post-residency.
But they can pursue their residency anywhere they want, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Sounds like a good deal to me. All right. Yeah, you agree. Okay, great. Let's turn to the Geisinger application. What is the Geisinger secondary like?
So the Geisinger secondary application, first and foremost, the first question is, are you interested in the Abigail Geisinger Scholars Program? So
Okay.
we talked about that. So this was really a nice segue into this next question.
Okay.
We have a couple of other ones, but they're really focused on getting at mission alignment and whether or not the students are mission aligned in terms of their writing. So it's really meant to better understand the student and how they align with the mission, vision, and values of our medical school.
Okay. All right, great. Now the themes or I shouldn't say the theme, the Geisinger values, as I read on the site, were kindness, excellence, safety, learning, innovation. They seem to play a role in the Geisinger secondaries, as you just said. Any suggestions for how applicants can answer those questions without just spitting back the themes? Because I think that is sometimes a trap that medical school applicants fall into, where they quote your website back to you, and that doesn't really do you any good.
And I agree. I see that a lot. And
okay.
I would appreciate a little bit of a diverse perspective from an applicant. And when I say that, I mean, don't just regurgitate what's on the website, but really think about how you as an applicant embody those values and link those to your experiences and your attributes so that you can demonstrate mission alignment with our respective institutions. And that's really what the secondary can do for a student, is give them the opportunity to demonstrate that they are mission aligned.
Right. I frequently say that the primary application is about one's fitness to be a physician, and the secondary applications are about fit with the individual schools. So
I couldn't agree more.
Okay, great. And you just said that in connection with Geisinger very, very beautifully. What do you think of applicants using chatGPT or other AI options in writing their essays?
Well, chatGPT and AI is here. And we want people to use chatGPT, other AI options for the common good. However, we still believe that a personal statement should be that, and it should be written personally by you, not ChatGPT or AI. And so I really highly encourage applicants, and we require that for our applicants to write their own personal statement, as well as their comments and their narrative comments for our secondary to be their own personal work.
Okay. And yeah, it doesn't come out quite the same if they don't also. It's not as personal. It's not as
vanilla.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want to do is be vanilla, right? You want to You want to add some sprinkles, right? Because those sprinkles represent how you align with the mission.
And individuality. Yeah. Now, Geisinger recommends, but does not require, the AAMC Professional Readiness Exam or the PREview. What does the PREview give you that you don't get from the rest of the application?
Wow, another great question. I'm so glad you asked this.
Okay. I'm batting well today.
Really are. The AAMC actually asked us to partner with them to become a pilot school in 2021 for the PREview exam. And so we've been a PREview school in terms of highly recommending applicants submit the PREview exam or assessment, whatever you want to call it, to us. And we believe that gives the students another opportunity to show us another dimension of who they are as an applicant. And I say this because the PREview exam assesses competencies for entering medical school, right? And so, and many of these competencies are emotional intelligence. And what better way to demonstrate that is through the AAMC's exam. So we know we want future physicians, when we select them, to have an IQ that they can accomplish medical school and be really great physicians, right? But we also want emotionally intelligent physicians who are kind, caring, and compassionate, who have excellent social skills, who are culturally competent and culturally humble, who are ethical and moral. And those are some of the competencies assessed in the PREview exam. And so I would really encourage applicants, if they want to demonstrate those other competencies, to consider the exam. I know it's an additional cost. And again, it might not be for everyone. And that's why we make it. We don't make it required. We prefer it. What I will say is, if anyone who's listening to this wants to learn more about this research, I, along with some colleagues, have a paper in academic medicine. It is called, and I'm going to read this, so sorry if I look a little off.
Okay.
Evaluating a situational judgment test for use in medical school admissions, 2 years of AAMC PREview exam administration data. And you can find that in academic medicine. And yeah, I'm really proud of that. And
congratulations.
It'll give applicants, and again, anyone listening and viewing, a better idea of the research behind it.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
So you're actually you're not, at this point in time, you're not just recommending the test so that AAMC can have data, you're actually using it in the evaluation process. If people take it. Got it.
Using it as a plus factor, just like, we subscribe to a holistic admission process, which means we look at academic metrics, we look at experiences, we look at attributes, and we look at competencies. And so students have options of how they demonstrate that, right? Like, if you and I were both applicants, I would be a betting person if I said that we wouldn't have the exact same experiences or attributes or the exact same classes. And that's the same with the PREview exam. And that's why we leave it up to the student to say whether they want to take it and have it as part of their application materials. So we give the student the option.
Okay, sounds good. So, we've talked about a couple of mistakes that applicants make. Spitting back the website was one that we mentioned. I would say relying on AI without any input is a big mistake. What are the mistakes you commonly see applicants make? You've been doing this for a little while.
Yeah, one of them is really underestimating the value of the experiences section and not providing enough context in there in each section or each entry, and also understanding how experiences, the personal statement you're writing in the secondary, it really has to come together to present this integrated perspective of who you are as an applicant. So realizing that each piece of the application is important, and really understanding how they integrate together, because you want them to be integrated and not stand alone, because then I don't understand who you are as an applicant, as opposed to a packet that's integrated. Does that make sense?
Yes. The metaphor I usually use is a jigsaw puzzle.
Yes.
The
Great.
pieces fit together. They also don't duplicate.
Right.
You know, people have so many experiences. They shouldn't be just focusing on one.
Exactly. If
For
I
everything.
read it in the experiences, maybe you want to say like a sentence about it in your personal statement, but that should be with using it in concert with your themes, and also supporting other areas within the personal statement. Yeah.
They should integrate and complement.
Exactly. And it enhances.
So I've many times used the metaphor, your application is like a jigsaw puzzle. Things need to fit together and not overlap or duplicate. So I think that's certainly a mistake that I've frequently seen also. Now I know that Geisinger has an MMI interview. What is it like?
So there's a reason why we utilize a multiple mini interview, and the science behind it is that it reduces interviewer bias. And so we have found that as well. And so we deployed the use of the multiple mini interview in 2021, the same year that we decided to be a pilot school for the AAMC PREview exam. So that was a real busy year. But the MMI really assesses the competencies for entering medical students. So I told you that the PREview exam was preferred, and so it wasn't required. But students do have to participate in the MMI if you are offered the interview and want to be considered for admission. And so we have 6 stations that evaluate some of those competencies.
All right. And it's all virtual, right?
It is. Our MMI platform, we do it virtually, and then we do offer recruitment days for our students who have been invited to interview. And so we're really trying to separate out the assessment of a student, which is the MMI, and the recruitment of a student with recruitment activities during our recruitment days.
Okay. Makes sense. Now I saw online that you finish interviews usually by the end of February. When do you stop sending out interview invitations? I'm asking this question all the time because, the silence can be deafening, and students wonder, am I toast now because I haven't gotten an interview invitation?
Sure. So great question. So this year we're actually expanding our class.
Okay.
So for a number of years now, we've been at 115 new medical students, and this year we'll go to 126. And so we will be interviewing a little bit later than we have in the past. So we'll go a little later into March. And so we will be finished up with interview invitations probably mid-February to the 3rd week of February.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, you've emphasized the importance of primary care and clinical medicine. You've also emphasized the importance of research in the curriculum at Geisinger. Do you want students you admit to have both research experience and clinical exposure?
So that is an interesting question. I would actually replace research experience with community service experience.
Okay.
And I will tell you, that yes, they need to have community service and clinical exposure, and why, right? So we want students to have clinical exposure so they can appreciate the role of the patient, the physician, members of the interprofessional healthcare team, and how a hospital system works, right? From the community service perspective, that's who we are as an institution. That is vital to the mission of the institution is to recruit students who are actively engaged in service and part of their community. And I will also mention that work within a healthcare organization and being a provider, you are in service of others. And so having community service and clinical exposure is absolutely aligned with the mission, vision, and values of our institution.
Okay, great.
We would love for our students to have research experience as well. And I talked to you a little bit about the research opportunities within the curriculum. And so there are a lot of opportunities that we do offer students during their time here at our institution to engage in research experiences.
But in terms of incoming students, research is more of a very nice to have, should I say? Whereas the clinical and the community service, or the clinical exposure and community service, really shows that alignment that you're looking for to the core values. Am I interpreting you correctly?
So that is correct. However, I would like to say that as part of the mission, if you look, I like to call them our 4 pillars.
Okay.
One is community service, right? The other one is the ability to utilize evidence-based research.
Okay.
And having a background in research would help along with alignment there as well.
Okay.
So I don't want to say, you don't necessarily have to have it. What I will say is we do have a focus on community service and clinical exposure, but clearly having exposure in research does align with our mission in terms of the evidence-based research.
And I hadn't asked about community service in my question. So I got it. Okay. I think it's pretty clear now. How do you evaluate multiple MCAT scores?
So we do look at all of them for context, but we will utilize the highest score.
Highest total.
That highest total. So we're not going to separate subsections and do a super score like schools do with the SAT. No, we do not do that, but we do look at the individual sections. We look at the test, the number of times, to really, again, that's holistic admission, right? It's looking at the gestalt of the application materials. And so we look at it all, but we will utilize the highest score.
Okay. And per the MSAR, Geisinger last year received 5,254 verified applications, interviewed 823 applicants, and as you mentioned earlier, has a class of 115, which is going to grow to 126. How do you winnow it down? How do you go from 5,000, 5K to 823, which is the biggest cut, and then to 115?
Well, it's a lot of work.
I'm sure it is.
But I think it's important work. It really is, because the applicants deserve us looking at their materials, which we do. But I will tell you again, it always goes back to mission alignment for us here at Geisinger. And so if you looked at our profile, you see approximately 65% of our students come from Pennsylvania. We have a very diverse class in terms of socioeconomic status, hailing from rural counties, students who are have diverse racial backgrounds, and who are first generation in their family to go to college. And so these are diverse backgrounds. They're underserved populations, and we take pride in that. And so we are creating the diverse physician workforce of the future. And that's really, really important to us. And so it does go back to mission alignment, and you can see the profile of our students and how that sort of shakes out in terms of the demographics.
All right. How do you view, update letters or correspondence, either, how do you do update letters either before interview, after interview, or from waitlisted applicants?
So great question. And we leave that up to the candidate to decide when is the best time for them to communicate with us. So we do, we allow students to give us 2 update letters. If this year we're closing in on 7,000 applications. So if we allowed each applicant to give us 2, and they did. That would be 14,000 pieces or if we allowed more, that would be a lot. Not everyone takes us up on that opportunity, but we do say 2 is a nice number to give us some additional information that could help us in the discernment process of your candidacy for admission. So we encourage that. We do suggest to students to really think strategically about when is the right time to update us with meaningful and valuable information. Just saying I'm continue my interest, that's great, and we love that, but use it as an opportunity to tell us, what have you done lately?
Yeah, I can hear that, and I think you make the waitlist letter more valuable to the applicant by limiting it. Scarcity. There's your MBA. Your MBA coming through. Create scarcity.
And scarcity of resources.
Right. Okay, what would you have liked me to ask you?
Wow, that's such a great question. I mean, we talked about Horizon. We talked about our total health curriculum. I love to talk about the Abigail Geisinger Scholars Program. I wove in community service, which that was going to be my piece on what I'd like to talk about more. I do really believe that this is the piece that I'd like to mention is the interaction between our students and our faculty, staff, and administration in the building of a community and a community of practice. I think that is something that's unique here at Geisinger and special, and does set us apart from other medical schools.
All right. Now you actually, and I had meant to ask a follow-up question, so I'm going to ask it now. You had mentioned that the students have relationships with the professors, and that are they like assigned a mentor or that they see throughout the medical school experience, or does it change? How does that work?
Sure. So our medical students are assigned a faculty advisor, and they have then mentors and coaches along the way. They have individuals within the clinical arena that serve as mentors and coaches. And so it's really an integrated approach to support for our students here at the institution. And then, of course, when our students go out to their regional campuses, they have a regional campus team there to support them.
Okay, great. So I want to thank you very much, Dr. Schmude. I think we're almost out of time. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing your expertise. This has been absolutely delightful. We're going to link from the show notes at accepted.com/600 to the Geisinger website, as well as to other resources that may be helpful to listeners. Reminder, you can download a complimentary copy of Med School Admissions, What You Need to Know to Get Accepted, at accepted.com/600 download. Grab your copy now. Listener, thank you too for joining us for our 600th episode. Please tell your med school applicant friends. They'll thank you, and so do I. This is Admission Straight Talk, produced by Accepted, and I'm your host, Linda Abraham. I'll talk to you real soon.
Thank you so much.